What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Game Developers Club. Today and this week we had a very low amount of people showing up, so we had a whole grand idea here for what we were going to do. I got it all written up on the board, and for those of you who are interested, we are going to be restructuring our officers. So if you are interested in either retaining your officer position or becoming an officer for this new quarter, make sure you're here next Wednesday, because that's when we're going to be assigning roles and we're going to be discussing on prospective new candidates for those positions. So if it's something you're interested in, definitely show up, because we need all the people we can get. This week we were going to be assigning prospective candidates, but since we had a very small amount of people showing up, we're going to postpone that to next week, and now that people actually know about it, we'll have some people here, I'm sure. So once again, if you're interested in being an officer, be here next week. It's very important. And on that note, let's jump into it. We've gone over a lot of stuff in this club so far, and we've archived a lot of our videos and a lot of things we've done so far. But I don't think one thing I don't think we've really discussed is how to actually build a game, how to actually make it a .exe file, and to let other people download it and play it as a file without actually getting the whole project folder itself and being able to edit your resources. So let's hop into Unity. This is my Robot Ninja game that I made a while back. It's just sort of I'll just give you guys a quick little show on what that is. So it's just really like it's a 3D platformer. You run around, you pick up these orbs, right? You can sprint, you can move fast. And it's got all these different levels. You can shoot, you can fire little missiles and whatnot. So that's that. So let's say we wanted to actually build it, and we want to actually turn it into a real game that I can put on my website and can say, hey, people, go and download this. It's super great, or not, whatever. So let me go ahead and show you guys a quick thing. Hey, Matt, let me show you guys a quick little idea on how we do that. So it's really simple in Unity, as a lot of things are once you understand how it works. So all we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Build Settings. Remember, build settings, these are where you add the actual levels of the game that you want. So make sure that all your levels are in there when you're doing it. And down here you have the platforms that you want to build it for. Xbox and PlayStations and a lot of those things require Unity. I think they require Unity Pro. Maybe we just need to upload a module. I don't know. I actually haven't done it ever. So anyways, right now we're just going to build it for PC, Mac, and Linux. And right here you can choose your target platform under target platform. But since I run a Windows machine, we'll keep it at Windows. And then in here you can change player settings. And this is cool because it'll pop up in your inspector, and it'll allow you to set your company name, your project name, and you can change your cursor to look like a hand or a sharp arrow or something like that. And you can also set your default icon. Right now I have my default icon set as just a little picture I drew up of Robot Ninja's face, and set it there. By default it'll be this icon up here in the corner that Unity uses, which is fine, especially since it's a Unity built game. And if you're not using Unity Pro, you're going to have a splash screen that's going to pop up and say Unity right on it, so it won't be any big surprise to anybody. Some other cool things you can do is you can set its resolution, and this is nice because if you're building a game and you haven't scaled your GUI or your assets or anything like that to work, so you can have a dynamic. So depending on no matter what the resolution is, it always looks the same. Or if you're developing for web application, it's also really nice because then you can set its default width and height, which is really good because a lot of web players, if you're going to integrate it into a browser, you're going to want to have that default screen width and height. And so you can set it right there. You can also toggle this checkbox to make it full screen or not by default. And then you can make it resizable. You can display resolution dialog, which this isn't a very intuitive naming convention, I feel like, on their part. But the resolution dialog is this little screen. When you fire up a game, you'll see it. It'll pop up, and it'll ask you the resolution you want to run it in. It'll ask you the graphical quality that you want to run it in. And those are two settings that you can choose whenever you want. But if you disable it, then you can make it at a set resolution so the user can't change it in any way. But right now, the way I have this set up is I'm using default screen width and height, but they're able to resize it. So you get it, you know, that makes sense, I'm hoping, right? You get it as a default width and height, but you can resize it to any size that you want. And yeah, what else is good in here? You can, this is where you go to change the icon. You can override it for a standalone project. The splash image and other settings. So it's got a whole bunch of really neat and unique things that you can incorporate for your game. But the main ones that you're going to be really dealing with is setting its resolution, unless you just want to make it by default full screen. But remember, if you're going to do that, you're going to want to make sure that all of your GUI elements and everything is scalable. You also have the other options up here. If you want to make it for web player, you got them all right here. Web player is here. PC, Mac, Linux standalone, iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows 8, or Windows Store, sorry, and then Windows Phone 8. These are just the general settings that you can choose for which platform you want to develop it for. You can also toggle it over here by clicking on this side, over on platform in your build settings. But like I said, we're going to be building this just for Windows. So let me actually show you how to do that now. Really easy. Again, you just hit build, and then we're going to choose its path. I already have this path set up from earlier. Actually, I'm going to cancel it, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it real fast, and then rebuild it. So bear with me here. I'm going to empty out a folder. Now let's build it. Now we're going to build it into this empty folder, which is good. Alright, now that it's built, you can see we have the little icon here that we set, and we have our application file type, which is what we need. This data folder is going to contain all of Unity's info on that game itself. So people can't access this stuff, not at least from a default level. I can't just like double click this and have it open up a file that I can edit. I'm sure that there might be some way you can hack into it and then maybe access it if you wanted to change some settings in the game. But for the most part, at the level we're dealing with, we're not going to have to worry about that. So let's double click on it and it'll load right up. See, my default resolution is actually a little bit bigger than my screen. And I'm realizing this, you probably don't even see it on the stream. So let me just game. There we go. Okay. So now you can see it's a little bit bigger than the screen, but that's fine because that's kind of the way I set it up, right? So I set up for my desktop, which is a 1920 by 1080 native resolution. This is 1360 by 720. I don't know, don't quote me on that number, it's probably wrong. It's smaller, a lot smaller than my desktop, which I originally created it for. But, you know, it's resizable, which is cool, and whatnot. Okay, now my stream's tripping out. Sorry, bear with me at home. So now, I mean, everything runs just as it would run, as if you were building it within the Unity game, right? So you can just click and start. You can run around. And this is that game that I was talking to you guys about, Robot Ninja. You can wall jump, you know, double jump, fire missiles, and the whole main objective here will at least beat one level real quick. Is to collect suns. Then your suns get added, so on and so forth. But so that's how we build games. Close it out. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is this difference here in the player settings. Where this little option here, the display resolution dialog, this is one thing that actually will allow you to sort of make it a little more customizable if you want. I personally usually don't use it just because I like to set its default resolution, so people are kind of forced to use it that way. But if you enable that and then build it, we're going to override it. Then when you fire up the game, you're going to get a resolution dialog box, and this is what allows you to set default resolution. I'm not sure if this probably isn't picking up. Give me a second here. So this allows you to set the screen resolution by default, lets you set the graphics quality, and lets you select which monitor you want to display it on. I'm using my laptop, so I'll only have display one. On here, you can also change its input settings, which is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is really cool to be able to do all this stuff, but ideally you're going to want to create a game and integrate all of these things within the game itself, within like the options menu or so have you, something along those lines. But it runs pretty much the same. I can run a really small screen resolution if I want, and I can even make it full screen, which is going to change the way my computer perceives it. And you guys probably won't see it on the stream, but you guys can check it out here. See, it's going to look really blurry and bad. But that's because it's a really tiny resolution for a game that was developed for high resolution. That's why I say be careful with the resolutions you're choosing. Let's hop back into Unity here, and let's take another quick look at some of the player settings you can do. You can make it run in background, which is nice for some games. Sometimes you want to have it not pause if you're doing, or if you have a game that's networked, you don't want it to pause when you switch whatever screen you have. The resizable window, it's nice. If you're using full screen, obviously it's not going to be resizable. But again, all of these options are options that you can change within a script. So ideally, you can set these all up as your own options inside of your game. You can make a little cog wheel, and you can click on it, and then you can choose if you want it to be full screen or you want it to be just maximum size screen. And you can access that all through scripting. And I'm going to change this back to disabled. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty easy to build a game. One thing to note when you are building it is when you have this folder here. Hi. When you're dealing with your actual file folder, you have that data folder. Anytime that you archive the two files together, and anyone who's watching at home on the stream, I know you can't see it, sorry. Actually, I guess I can just add desktop capture. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I don't know. Sorry if you can't. But for you guys here, so you'll have these two folders, right? The data folder and your actual application folder. Always make sure that the data folder is inside of a folder with that application file. That way, it won't run if you do it without it. See, I'll show you. Take this data folder and I'll pull it out real quick, and it's just gonna give me a little error, right? There should be the data folder next to the executable. So that's fine. So I mean, yeah, you guys saw it's very easy to fix. Alright, we keep that in there, and then we're going to want to compress it, and we're going to set it up as a zip file or a RAR. I have 7-zip on my laptop, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to zip it. So we got it zipped right here. Now what we can do is we can go onto a site like SourceForge or whatever, and you can upload it. You can only upload it though if it's actually a project itself. If it's not a project, if it's not zipped, it won't be read as a file, and you'll get some weird stuff with it. So make sure when you're choosing the file that you're choosing your zipped file. It's on my desktop right now, so you can access it here, or right here. I'm sorry, that's zipped. But I'm not going to upload it. It's the same exact file that's already on there, but you guys get the point. And that's more or less how you go about, getting your game on the website, or on any website really. Personally, like I said, I like to use SourceForge, and then I use my own personal website to link to that SourceForge site so people can download whenever they want. Yeah, okay, well, we got a couple people show up, so let's kind of go over some of the stuff that I was going to go over. Let's make this a little bigger, and let's bring it to the middle. So, one thing that we're going to do, guys, since it's the new quarter, we're going to re-vote on our Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, Public Relations Coordinator. We're gonna get those set in stone. Since now that we actually have our faculty advisor, we can go ahead and pursue it. Actually making it a real club, and then we start putting flyers up. We can go to other classes. We can promote the club. We can do all this all this good stuff that's important. But I was thinking for now, for today, we can go over some new game ideas, right? So hit me with it. Someone give me an idea for a game. Okay, an adventure world exploring game. Would it be like role playing, or just would it be like an open world exploration game? Oh, the term now in the video game world is called FPX. Well, maybe if it's a first-person game, because it's a first-person experience. It's a lot of these adventure games. They're not about like shooting or like killing stuff or whatever. It's about just going around and experiencing a world, and that's where the term FPX. But I guess this isn't necessarily. This will lock it down when we make first-person. So maybe we should just do that. Okay, adventure, open world, etc. Yeah, I could do sandbox. That works too. Alright, perfect. Let me get another one. Just a game idea. A basic game idea, something we can implement, wouldn't be too crazy difficult. Something we're actually going to accomplish. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to make a full-on networked, real-time strategy zombie game. Sorry guys, it's just not going to happen. Now with the amount of resources that we have and the people we had to do it with.
Some kind of sim game?
Simulation? Okay. Like a...
zombie idea, you can always incorporate these games.
I definitely agree with that. I don't think there's ever really a bad idea. There's just a good idea that's not quite right for the fit that you're trying to pursue. So you're thinking like flying or driving, or maybe boating. Is that kind of what you're thinking about sim, or are you thinking a different idea? Like personal sim, like SimCity, or like The Sims?
Well, like flying or driving or
okay,
like,
a simulator of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool.
I personally play a couple of just sim games, so I probably know what about that.
I don't even know what that is, but
like,
it's okay.
Like when you compete in obedience and stuff like that, and you can like breed your dogs and stuff.
There's Sims for that?
Improve their stats. Yeah, there's like a couple website-based games.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And then like every night at midnight they write scripts to make all the dogs 1 day older and process all the show results and stuff like that.
Cool. That's cool. So you just want to make a dog sim? I know you do.
But I know that I'm probably the only one who would want to make it and want to play it. So
Maybe.
I'm happy to do
Maybe. All right. Okay. Cool. We got two. So all right, Matt, hit me with one. Then it's your turn. That's all right. Don't need to answer it. We could do. We could make some form of what's it called, like tile-based system game. Like I know it's not actually really tile-based, but you know something like Candy Crush or what's that other one called? Bejeweled. What else is there? 2048, which is actually, I just found this out the other day. There was actually another game that came out that was called Threes that came out before 2048, and it was almost the exact same game as 2048, but they just didn't market it very well. I'll put Threes, parentheses. Give them a little credit. Okay, what else we got? Let's start thinking here. We need two more ideas to start working with, and then we're all gonna go home. We're all gonna think about these. We're gonna put them up on our Trello, and we'll vote on them. And we'll figure out which ones we want as a group we all want to make. What if you did like
what about like a story-based RPG?
Okay, sounds good.
Like you could even implement like some kind of like puzzles. Like I don't know if you played any of the Lego games.
Oh yeah, I played all Lego games.
Me too.
Those are me and my girlfriend's favorite games. We always sit around and play those.
Awesome, I love those.
Yeah, we have a good time. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, totally, we could implement. Well, the thing is cool about puzzles are, it's such a generic thing. You could put those in any one of these games, you know, and it would be fitting. to some degree. Okay, cool. What else we got? Let's think one more.
What, like a racing game? Or
Okay, I mean, it kind of that sort of fits under sim,
okay.
but I'm gonna leave that one out because it kind of fits under sim. We could also incorporate it into like an adventure game, or you could incorporate it into a story-based RPG. I mean, racing is, we could just make only a racing game, but I also feel like you could make that as some form of extra part of a game you can add it onto.
Yeah.
I mean, if we wanted to build an entire game around racing, maybe. I don't know anything about cars and racing and stuff though. So, okay. I'm gonna put down this last one. It's gonna be kind of an broad, but I'm gonna say educational game. People love educational games. I figure we're in school, so maybe it's sort of fitting if we say it's gonna be educational in some way. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, one thing I was saying is next week we're going to reassign our officer roles. I think that for the most part you guys are probably just going to stay with what you're doing, but it's a new quarter, so we should at least have give people the option to get a new role if they want one. And for the people who might not be showing up anymore, then they also might be getting removed from the positions. So also, if you guys are watching at home, make sure you're here. Make sure you're here next week, because next week's when it's really going to go down. We're going to start pulling candidates for it, for the different officer positions, and then the following week we're going to be deciding on who our new officers will be, and then we'll have Marriott. He might not be in here, but he said he wants to help out with the club, so we'll have it hopefully official by 2 weeks from today. So again, be here next Wednesday. All right, the next thing we got going. I didn't want to slide it too far or anything. And I had this this little breakdown of tasks and roles for games. I mean, we obviously didn't pick a game, but I think that this is sort of a basic template maybe that we could use to assign roles and tasks for different people and what they're going to do within the game. I mean, it just has really basic stuff. We have the GUI and then the engine development. Engine development isn't actually engine development. I kind of put that there as just sort of a placement holder for the people who are going to be like creating character controllers and developing AI and doing those scripts within Unity that isn't actually editing the game engine itself. We're editing the platform on which we're all going to be using to make this game. And then also we have 3 texturing positions. We have texturing for images. That'd be something like a logo screen or a splash page or GUI elements or you name it. Anything that isn't an environment texture or a character model texture will go under an image texture. Also, one thing that we're going to need image textures for is websites. We're going to be designing a website soon, and so we're going to need pictures for that. I want it to be cool if we have a big old like GCD, I said that wrong, GDC image, right? I think that would look really cool. So we got these 3 things, and then finally we have these last 2, which is our 3D modeling, right? We're going to need to 3D model a bunch of characters, and we're going to 3D model a bunch of environment 3D models. We're going to need buildings, we're going to need boxes, we're going to need ladders, we're going to need houses, we're going to need stoves. I mean, this is all just asset creation. So if anyone wants to work on any of these things, I mean, feel free. Like, it doesn't matter what assets we make. I mean, you could make literally anything, and we could find somewhere to put it. Build a chair, we'll put it in a game somewhere, right? But more importantly, I think that it's important that we're continuously harnessing our skills and adapting kind of the knowledge that we know, and it'll really help reinforce our ability to do these things. Obviously, I mean, I'm not an art student. I'm not very good at it, but we can do it. I can do it as little as I know, and that's about that. I can teach you guys as little as I know. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't talk about was just the GUI. We'll have. That's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily saying one person for each of these. But these are just roles that will need to be filled, and whether or not we have one person who's like, oh, I love doing GUI. I only want to do GUI. I just want to. I'll make it look super nice and beautiful and amazing or whatever, right? Cool. Then you can do GUI. But if we have someone else who is really interested in learning about GUI, then they'll be doing it right alongside of you. So don't feel like don't feel like if you get assigned to one of these roles, that's the only thing you're gonna be doing the whole time, and that's it. And B, if you get assigned to one of these roles, don't feel like other people can't help you or assist you in any way, because this is all a team project. It's all a team environment, and we're all about working in a team. So with that said, is there any one of these things that stick out to one of you guys that make you you're like, oh, that's something I really want to do, or I really want to learn more about?
I would love to work on my models.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So then I guess we can just put sideways and just put Abby. So thanks for volunteering for doing all of our artwork for our games. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really gonna do it, but that's fine. Okay, cool. Is there a specific type of modeling and texturing you'd like to do? Would you want to model and texture specific models, or do you want to just do some? Do you want to just do some modeling and then maybe do some texturing for something else, or do you want it to be sort of a cohesive thing to where you're creating one finalized product? Like you'll build a mesh for a school or a house or whatever, and then do you want to also texture that on top of that, or would you like someone else to do the texturing for you?
I don't mind if I have to do it, but if somebody else wants to do it, I don't mind giving it to them.
Okay.
And I don't mind trying to texture somebody else's model.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have anything particular that they're interested in? Cool.
Engine development and doing.
Okay, scripting, mainly scripting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's is there any part of the texturing that you don't want to do specifically? Are you like, I don't want to make logos, or I don't want to make?
I think I'd rather not make logos.
Okay.
So probably more models of
Okay.
characters and working objects.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind trying to make the logos.
The environment, you mean like in the Unity, making the scenes type of thing? Or is that just
Well, that's a big part of it, but that would be more like, you mean like using the terrain editor to kind of make a terrain? Definitely, and you can definitely do that, and you can implement the already existing environment textures into it, or you could try your hand making your own. I highly recommend you try to make your own. I think that'd be really cool. I mean, for the most part, it's just like a green square with like some dots on it, so I don't think that's going to be too difficult to make.
you do that like you did in GIMP, and then you can upload it?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't actually know. I haven't actually made my own environment textures before. I mean, I've made my own environment textures, and I've textured a building. I've textured boxes and stuff, but never anything too extreme like that. That's cool. It's a good start. Matt, you said you wanted to try your hand at texturing logos and stuff?
Yeah,
the images?
try it.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that sounds to be great. I mean, this is all a learning process. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll sit down and you'll start designing textures and you'll be like, oh, this is really cool, but I mean, there's only so much I can do, and then you'll be like, well, now. Also, sorry to totally cut off what I was just saying there. One thing you can also do in terms of images is we can make a 3D model, and then we can import that into the game space and have that look like our logo, for example, or just things like that. And don't ever feel tied down. All right, and Carolyn, you said you wanted to do engine development?
Mm-hmm.
And possibly GUI?
Yeah.
All right. Good. It's a good start. And can you write all this down, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Or just take a picture of it or something.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Anybody have any questions about anything? I know we didn't really cover much stuff today. It's very surface level things and just kind of getting ideas out there. But any questions? Anything like that? All makes sense for the most part? Cool. Cool. All right. Well, then I guess we'll cut it here. Remember, guys, next week, be here. Do it. Unless you don't have any care about the officer status of this club in any way, which I'm sure there's probably many people who could care less about the officer status. But needless to say, if we want this to be a real club, we need real officers, and we'll get our faculty advisors in here, and we will get this thing going, and then maybe we can get some kind of funding, and then we can go to PAX. Yay! Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you here next week.